So remember my promise. Well, I am keeping it technically because this saga won't end. But this has come to the point to where I'm going to make the caveat that with this video, I don't care how scummy EA or Maxis gets, because by now, this has just gone beyond ridiculousness. This has gone beyond just a bunch of butthurt consumers upset because they can't play the product that they bought. This goes above and beyond, which is why I got involved in this on many levels, because I was looking at this and I'm just going, what the hell is up with these people? What is their major malfunction? Why did they create something that was almost destined to fail from the start? And why did they set themselves up to be failing at this stuff? Because again, I remind you that EA promised that they themselves would make sure that this was not going to turn into a Diablo 3. They also promised bigger city sizes, that the beta testing was just that, beta testing, and that there'd be bigger sizes. And now it's not, as how does Francis put it, it's not Simcity, it's Simtown. And this is a complaint I hear over and over again. But I'm not going over the same stuff over again. I want to try to cover some new grounds here. There's an article down below talking about how SimCity needs to have an undo button. Some people would say, well, so what? This is why you don't put a game on a server that has such limitations. Because then you can't implement things that might actually elevate the user experience. I mean, the funny thing is, everybody's been trying to play this game. And there are people who do like it, and I'm not begrudging anybody who likes the game. But by and large, the critics who get to play it just say, it's good, it's good. You know, barring the problems getting on the server and all this other stuff, it's good, but it's hampered. It's not great. It's taken things out like the subway system that was such a popular feature from SimCity 4, which makes me constantly ask, at every stage of the development of this game, what were they thinking? It's almost as if they had far-reaching ambitions, and they basically never heeded the words of one of my favorite 80s movies, Top Gun. They are writing checks their butt cannot cash, and they're passing on their agony and their woes to you, the consumer. In fact, Jimquisition has talked about this, and he put it very, very eloquently, because he's again bringing up the ideas that I have talked about ad nauseum, about how you're renting content. You're not technically owning it even when you pay for it in full. It becomes a service that can be given and revoked at the whim of the company. And as we saw with StarCraft 2 in Blizzard, and don't give me that, oh, but they were doing it because if you cheat on the single-player mode, it could affect the multiplayer mode. Well, then maybe they should have fucking thought about that, because then it makes it to where people who don't play online, don't care to play online, are being penalized for using trainers in a single-player campaign of a game they paid for. And the ban hammering that Blizzard did, I mean, Blizzard kind of started this bullcrap of no refunds. If we catch you doing something that we consider a term of service agreement breach, we will revoke your CD key and there is no appeals. Or we'll revoke it temporarily. But even that was fucking ridiculous. There was no precedent for it. There was no need for it. And if your game is so interdependent upon the single player, why not just make it a single multiplayer game? That way, we have nothing to complain about. But when we're doing what we want, legally, with a game that we've legally purchased, and you tell us that we can't do that, then what is that? That's not ownership of a game. That is simply renting the game. And I love that Jim goes into it in exquisite detail, but I said it first, I said it first. Anyways, but it goes far and beyond that. Oops, that's, I don't know why that link's doing there. Because then link number 4 is called SimCity Noir Film. I'm including this because this shows what these games can evolve into. The video is beautiful, but it's heartbreaking, because then you realize that just as the game would probably mature, just as the game could achieve something much more beyond as an art status, where people could do things with it, people could create things with it, people could do amazing things with it. If Maxis decides, you know, we need servers and we need server space, so we're just going to shut down SimCity 5 servers because it's taking up space, they've just destroyed the very crafting and the very art. And people far off into the future who might want to experience the beauty that is that, what is it, Glasshouse game engine, when it's really utilized to the nth degree, they're not going to be able to do that. They're going to have videos at best. And that's like a lot of work for something that's so damn temporary. Now, granted, you could say, well, yeah, there's people who do sand sculptures, and those get destroyed by the tides or by just people. And sure, but see, the problem is those people know what they're getting into. They know what they're working on. Games tend to be this medium that, at least until either the operating system is upgraded to the nth degree, to the point where even through emulation, or, well, that the game can't work. And some games are just out and out abandoned, and that's a whole nother topic and a whole nother discussion that I want to have about the art of games and gaming and old school gaming and our heritage and things of this nature here. But I digress. But to think that this game can be capable of something like, an art house noir look to it, as the user did in, as I've said, link number 4 there, it just makes me see the potential that could have been there with SimCity that they just squandered. They squandered it. Disgustingly so, they squandered it. And then after saying things like that it would take a significant feat of engineering to make SimCity offline, and after Maxis owned up to their failure, they then turn around and just basically say, yeah, no, we have no intention of ever making this game offline. Stings a little, doesn't it? Because, again, this means that this is a service. And now that's kind of the spin that EA and them are trying to take. Well, this is a service, so this stuff needed to be expected. Yeah, I know you were wanting a game that you could probably play around with offline and then go onto your server and build your dream city after playing around with the features, after figuring out all the different little attributes that the game has and exploiting them, not in a bad way, but just exploiting them to your design specs. All the creativity that the gaming community and artistic gaming community has shown that they can come of this. And all of it, thrown right out the window. Why do you think I'm excited about Cityvis, that Kickstarter program that I've talked about in my other videos here? For one thing, it's moddable. And if you're going to have it on PC, you might as well cater to one of the major advantages that PC has that consoles can have, but they just don't want to bother with that because piracy is moddability. I would love to take my current Mad Max project and be able to throw it in there. If anything, I'd love to be able to handcraft my own buildings. I mean, look at Steam! Frickin' Steam! They've got a Steam workshop, they've got tools. I don't care if the modeling programs for those cost as much as your average 3D modeling program, which is, by the way, an arm and a leg. The reasons, do you think that if Steam had just made Team Fortress 2, not moddable, no hat additions, no new DLC, no user-generated DLC, do you think this game would be half as popular as it is? It's fun for a while. I know, I played it. I got killed a lot, but I still had fun, even when I was being a noob. But eventually it was like, well, at least on the Xbox, the novelty wore off. There wasn't that much to do with it. But because of the continual updates to the title, updates, by the way, that oftentimes mean more money, mean more DLC, more shop items, more ways in which the company can make money, more, and even gives it to where, on some levels, people who create items for the game can make money. And then these people get more and more excited because they're able to craft and handcraft their own stuff. You don't think I don't want to recreate the set pieces from Mad Max, throw my cars in there and see them in that beautiful, beautiful glass house game engine or glass game engine? I forget which it is. You'll have to forgive me. This was potential that was thrown at us haphazardly, which really seems to be the theme of the gaming industry. Got a new game system that's not quite finalized? Push that bitch out the door. Got some games that you're trying to port to said system, but they're not really up to specs? Push them out the door. Got a game that you promised will not be like Diablo 3, that is unproven to have cohesion with a lot of sort of things that just are anti-consumer in many ways? Push that sucker out the door. Never mind the consequences. Never mind the fact that that EA and Maxis didn't just shoot themselves in the foot, they shot the entire industry in the foot. And they're seeing it. Because as one user said to the headline, SimCity, Maxis has no intention of making SimCity offline, somebody said, well, what a coincidence, because I have no interest in buying SimCity. And I feel the same way. Screw this. This isn't worth the headache. This isn't worth the nightmare. City of This seems like it'd be way more of a better investment, and it's going to be cheaper. You can get the game for $15 for freaking supporting it, and it looks almost as beautiful as the Glasshouse engine. But at the end of the day, Adam Sessler, I think, says it best, though. As much as we hate it, DRM is here to stay. Now, Jim from Jimquisition says, well, wait a couple weeks. Never buy things at launch anymore. You can still stick it to the man, but you could still support the industry and keep it afloat, which I don't entirely agree with, but I digress for reasons I've gotten into. And you can still buy and get the games when the kinks are worked out. Because if SimCity is the way that things are starting to head to, you're never going to realistically be able to play this game within the first week. And then also, you know, Sessler makes the same point that I did. This is kind of the stuff we're going to be probably seeing on the PS4. Probably not to this disastrous of a nature, but that's something I want you to keep in your mind. Because I'm going to also be talking about the PS4 because developers are singing the praises of it. Some of which are overreaching their bounds and their conclusions. And this just further boggles my mind that this stuff has been allowed to happen. So links to all relevant information is down in the underbar. I'm absolutely seriously done. This is beyond beating a dead horse. This is beating a graveyard full of dead horses. And I think I've said everything I need to do. Is this what you want out of your gaming industry? DMR, always online, all this headache? Is this what you envisioned? Is this how you enjoy your gaming? I certainly don't.